We're back with episode 2 of the now named podcast, the Moving Average podcast. Moving Average, episode 2. I like the name a lot. If you don't know what moving average is, it's like if you're looking at like a stocks graph or something, rather than seeing its fluctuations every day, if you use a moving average, which you can do with different durations, it'll do the average of that graph over time. And a lot of people use that as a tool or an indicator to show where its true value is. It's really just a technical tool used by a lot of analysts, but it's a very fitting name. I think it works pretty well. It was his idea, but I love it.
Describes it pretty well.
Slight change to the structure. Great feedback on the first one. A lot of it was just about me being on YouTube again. But I'm excited to keep going with this and see where it goes. We're also going to put it on Apple Music, right? Or Apple Podcasts, or
Yeah, and Anchor.
an Anchor.
Maybe Spotify.
And maybe Spotify. Speaking of which,
Yeah,
we'll have a little mention about that. Rather than being we were pretty structured in the last one in terms of like first startups and crypto, then business. With this one, throughout the week, we were just more intentional about like noting when things happened or stuff we want to talk about. So the way it's looking like today, who knows if it'll continue like this, but I like it, is a bunch of huge rounds that are noteworthy at the beginning, and then about 5 topics that are within the realm of startups, crypto, and business that are worth having a longer conversation about rather than just kind of listing off news articles later in the podcast. Should be fun. Let's hop right in.
Yeah.
First thing on the docket is Slack, the business like messaging communication platform, has filed confidentially for an IPO. I couldn't find any information on a valuation. I don't actually even know what their private valuation was.
Yeah,
Definitely billions.
couple billion.
Yeah, definitely billions.
Probably over time.
Not a ton of info on that.
No, but as I was kind of saying in the last episode, a lot of startups are going to IPO this year, and that's pretty exciting for just everyone involved.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah. And then also we have Postmates, also filed for an IPO in kind of the last week, and that's at a $1.85 billion valuation.
I'm interested to see that industry in general. Like the fact that, right, because if you have Uber Eats and Postmates and Doordash and they're approaching restaurants, aren't they each individually different POS or different iPad? So like if a restaurant wanted to support 2 or 3 different delivery services, they'd have 2 or 3 different iPads or something?
I mean, I think you can have it on one iPad, but just different apps.
I guess that makes sense.
But also, I mean, Uber Eats has won the market, and that's what you can see with this valuation.
Yeah.
I mean, the industry leader should be valued much more than 1.8 billion, and so it just kind of proves that Uber Eats has taken the market.
Now that you say that, because I originally kind of thought that the only thing coming out of that would be like one aggregator service that funnels all of the different delivery services into one POS for the restaurant, and then the customers can use whatever they want based on interface. But maybe it'll just be a winner take all.
Yeah, I mean that could be the future too. But you even have Doordash, which where we live, Doordash isn't too big.
They have Wendy's though. Good for them.
Yeah, but they just raised 500 million too. At kind of an estimated 6 to 7 billion, right? We wanted to mention that, and
look at you.
So that's
further down the list.
That's
a lot,
and that's surpassing the Postmates valuation by quite a lot. And Postmates was one of the first movers.
That's true. $6 or $7 billion for Doordash. Although Doordash definitely has like a lot of like. I feel like any place I've seen Doordash, it's only Doordash. Whereas some places I'll see on multiple apps.
Exclusive, yeah.
Which probably, apparently, at least by the valuation, is the right way to go.
Yeah, and possibly, I think in this industry, the future could be giving these services, these platforms, even more value. I know that Uber and Postmates are kind of experimenting with this. When you pull up the app, you see just a burger. It doesn't say the restaurant that made it or anything like that. They're like, hey, do you want this great burger? And it's more associated with just them, not the restaurant at all. And that can be them just renting space or having a revenue deal with another restaurant. Basically, was it white labeling, I think?
Yeah. They screw the restaurants over too. They take like 30-40%.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. I guess the food industry will continue changing.
Yeah. So a lot of cool stuff there, but that's kind of that. industry.
Spotify's buying Gimlet, which is a podcast. So I hadn't heard of Gimlet before this, but Spotify bought them for $230 million cash.
Yeah. Gimlet was a early stage startup growing quickly. They also acquired Anchor. So Gimlet would make their own original podcasts. They're essentially a media company.
Yeah.
And would produce their own podcasts. Anchor, on the other hand, was a platform that independent people like me, you could just throw up our podcast there. Just come up podcast.
What? So that's a huge move by Spotify. Yeah.
They want, because Apple has always dominated podcasts. So
right.
Spotify wants to make a real push.
Moving Average will be on Spotify. If that's a thing. Can you put podcasts right now, or is that going to be a future feature?
Yeah, no, you can.
So they were just doing that to get market share, more or less.
Yeah, they're trying. They're being aggressive. They're trying to grow quickly. They've made a couple deals, getting some exclusive podcasts on Spotify, and they're keep going.
Good for them. Yeah. Audio as a service, I
guess.
Yeah. Ike, which if you haven't heard of Ike, I'd be surprised if you have. Ike is a 10 months old autonomous trucking company. And they raised $52 million in a Series A round. 10 months old.
Yeah.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of big Series A's lately. But it's kind of for these kind of moonshot companies that need to grow really quickly, get market share, and just need a lot of capital.
Right.
Like Bird, like all the scooter companies have had to raise money like this because just product market fit has already been proven.
Right.
You just need to get market share.
And that has been like my perspective on autonomous driving in general has been, obviously you need dedicated autonomous lanes to really take advantage of full autonomy. And I think the first place that's going to be is trucks, because they're by far the biggest drivers on highways. And there might be a autonomous truck lane only or something first. But I don't know. You see people like Tesla with their Semi and Ike.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Goat has raised $100 million. Goat is a shoe marketplace. Interestingly, they raised it from Foot Locker. So in Foot Locker's perspective, that's their way of hedging against the future of shoe sales, I guess, or at least getting a market of those premium sales. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I never really got into shoes in that luxury market, so I don't know too much about it.
I got pretty into it. I mean, Goat's been big for last couple of years. It's raised a lot of VC. It's a good LA company.
Oh, interesting. So Foot Locker going in is a big deal instead of another VC?
Yeah, well, it's a growth and strategic partnership round, so they're just aligning themselves pretty much directly with Goat. Right. So it'll be really cool to see what product partnerships come out of this. I'm excited to see it because there will be some. Right.
Lime has raised, Lime being the scooter company, right?
Yep.
Yeah. $310 million at I put $2 billion. I don't know if there was I don't know if there was an actual point there, but two or a little bit above $2 billion valuation. I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff from scooter companies. I still haven't bought into it, but a lot of people have. They were in Bird was in UNC for a little bit. I never used them, but then they're
still here, right?
I don't know. Like they were in, like they're guerrilla marketing. Like they were in, then they removed them. Supposedly they were talking to Chapel Hill, but then never actually
They're in Raleigh. They're at State. I don't know. I mean, like I was saying before, it's just a kind of market share game at this point. So these companies are just raising money.
Yeah.
Like this, and hopefully they work out.
I do think it's kind of funny that not very many people would ever buy an electric scooter, like for even the stigma aspect, buy an electric scooter and drive it around. But if it's a service offered, then suddenly it's cool. Like I get Snapchats all the time with my friends at different colleges, riding scooters, and like it's interesting that just the nature of how it's used made it from something that's almost as cliche or stigma to like, wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Aurora raised $530 million at a $2.3 billion valuation. So a Series B round, which is a massive Series B round. Aurora is self-driving. So wasn't it started by like ex-Waymo people?
Probably. I'm not too sure on that, but I suspect so.
But more autonomy stuff.
Yeah, that's super cool. That space is heating up, going like crazy.
What's up, Wayne? Film a little podcast. Nuro, still on the autonomous note. Nuro, which is, you've probably seen this like on Twitter or on Reddit or something. Nuro is a delivery bot. So like last mile of shipping, and like kind of everyone's been going out this Amazon with the drones. They were messing around a little bit, but Nuro's literally a bot that will like go on the sidewalk, and it's like a cute little thing. They raised $940 million from the SoftBank Vision Fund, none other. That's awesome.
Yep, and the Vision Fund is a $100 billion fund.
Aren't they about halfway done spending
based out yeah, because they're burning, I think, $7 billion. I want to say a month, or it's an insane.
Wow.
They're deploying their fund very, very quickly.
I feel like
$100 billion based in Japan, invest all over the world.
Mahayoshi's son. I feel like it was like last year that I was like, reading that he raised
exactly.
it.
No, they're now spending a ton of the money, but that's still very cool.
It does help that half their investments are $1 billion.
Yeah,
they did Park Jockey for $1 billion. Competitor, not really competitor, but similar space as Vade. Yeah. So I paid attention a lot to that.
Yeah, and those Aurora guys were like top people in the Waymo project. The CTO.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. CTO of Google's self-driving cars. Yeah. So Aurora's
very cool.
Top dog.
I know at UC Berkeley they have a company. It's early stage, more early than Nuro, but it's called Kiwi Tech or something like that. And they're little bots that deliver food to UC Berkeley students on campus.
like dorm deliveries and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
or
awesome.
Just like pretty much anywhere on campus.
Man, robots, they're coming for us.
Yeah.
So now on to even though we talked a lot about those, five topics that are conversation worthy. The first has taken the internet by storm. So last week we mentioned that Reddit was raising between $150 and $300 million from Tencent. That has continued to get solidified, so it's actually $300 million from Tencent, confirmed now. But people on Reddit are up in arms about it.
I was checking on that.
On every subreddit, too. Like, I'm just browsing normal stuff, and people will be like, that we're screwed. Like, Tencent's coming in and censoring it. And
China, yeah.
So Reddit only has, like, $100 million or slightly under $100 million of revenue. Like, they're not, their reach and their like, presence is huge, but they're not a huge moneymaker.
Well, it's kind of the site for what it is. They don't really do ads, and that's why people love it.
That kind of is, yeah.
The guys, in 2006 or something, when Alexis and his co-founder, I forget the other guy's name, founded Reddit, they went through Y Combinator, and then they sold it pretty much immediately within 6 months coming out of Y Combinator to Condé Nast.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it's been owned by them the entire time Reddit has grown. I don't know if, and then like they put in a CEO. She was supposed to turn it around. She didn't. Stuff got messy, but it was it was an impossible job she was given, essentially. I'm forgetting. I've listened to it on NPR with her, but it's a pretty cool story.
I wouldn't I don't know. People are up in arms about Reddit taking money from a Chinese tech giant that has a lot to do with censorship, but I don't think they should really be concerned in terms of, I think if you're going to be worried about Chinese censorship, like there's so much more than Reddit that's already there that's being censored. Like I was looking at security camera stuff for Vade stuff. I'm looking at manufacturers of that. And it's like, if any electronics coming out of China, the vast majority have built-in backdoors that can be not only just affected by a Chinese entity trying to go into that backdoor, but ultimately vulnerable to a lot of people. So I guess my point there is that, sure, like at face value, Tencent investing in them is a little bit uneasy. Mm-hmm. But I think it's more just they're looking for more market share there and a little more influence. I don't necessarily think that we're going to see any changes on Reddit or anything like that's alarming.
Yeah, and I believe that as well.
Next up, this is my favorite story. So, some of you guys may have heard of Calm. Calm is an app, a meditation app. And they just raised $88 million, valuing it at $1 billion. So they're the first unicorn in like the men's or mental health space. Just general mental health space. They're not gender specific. But I saw that and I thought, okay, this is an app for meditation and just general mental health worth $1 billion. Gotta be something there. So I downloaded it, right? And the first thing that happened, I was with Wayne when I downloaded it. And the first thing that happened is I had to like enter my information. Turns out, it's $70 a year. You got to pay $70 a year. You get a free trial for a week. There's no free mode though. Like you couldn't just use it for free with limited functionality. It was pay for it and then you get a free trial. And with that 70, so I signed up and I used that free trial for a total of 7 minutes before canceling. Because I opened up the app and like I selected my priorities, which was like de-stress, focus, and sleep better, I think were the three. And the first three pieces of content that I could open, or the everything in the app was just like narrated stories. Be like, you're walking down a sidewalk. It's a beautiful day outside, and there's a light breeze on your cheek. And like, it was just an ebook. With sometimes there was a video associated with it or some background noise. But $1 billion and 70. First of all, on the user side, $70 a year for what's effectively a variety of short story ebooks to calm you down is. I don't know about that. You know, maybe there's a little bit more substance there. I didn't give it much of a chance after that. But $1 billion. I think people are more interested in using technology in that space than what Calm actually is. Prove me wrong though. I don't.
Well, they're making money.
Yeah, I suppose enough people are paying that $70 a year.
I don't know anyone who pays for it, but
any of you guys use it? Maybe.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Because wow, the second I did it, I texted him. I was like, dude, you have to look at this. Like, you have to download this app, actually try it, and then.
I haven't tried it yet, but I mean.
How dare you?
I'm not sure.
You don't need to. I did it for you. Next up, what I have written down is Bezos' dick pic. So if you guys didn't hear, Bezos had a little bit of an issue. He what was the AMI, right? Is the holding company of the National Enquirer, which did it, right?
I think so, yeah, but it was the National Enquirer.
Yeah. So what makes it even better is the guy that was blackmailing him. His name is Mr. Pecker. I'm sure you guys have heard of this story. So, right, Mr. Pecker had scantily clad pictures of Bezos that Bezos took himself and sent to the woman that he had an affair with. Right?
It's like an ex-girlfriend or something.
I thought it was all that same woman that was...
Well, there's kind of been some new circulation. We don't really know. There's been confusion about who kind of sent the pictures in, but somebody did send them to the National Enquirer.
But bottom line is that Bezos, richest man in the world, $150 billion,
Absolute savage.
Gets the information that, somebody has naked pictures of me and is blackmailing me. And there's political connections there as well and drama that we're not going to go into because I don't actually understand it well enough.
Well, yeah, he owns the Washington Post,
but it was something to do with Trump and like policy and like and like vulnerability or what's it called when you can get sued or when you can't, liability or something like that. But he gets this information, and then rather than like succumbing to it or freaking out or making the situation worse by like doing something stupid, this man makes a Medium post and just calls out Mr. Pecker, the National Enquirer, and the entire situation. It's the most badass move in the world.
And he published the actual emails that were sent.
Yeah.
He published the threat online.
That's so good. And now it's backfiring on National Enquirer.
Yeah, they can't do anything.
Yeah, there's rumors saying it's getting shut down, or AMI, the holding of National Enquirer, is getting shut down or whatever. I mean, it's turning into a huge thing because obviously you can't really do that. You can't blackmail people. It's illegal. But Bezos...
Well, and he just called them a fake news organization. He's just like you can't... You're not so allowed to do this. Yeah. People don't do that. So he earned some respect from me on that one. That was pretty...
Yeah, I gotta say, this furthers my position on, because imagine like if this was Elon, like our conversation last week, if this was Elon,
you'd probably go a little more of a crazy route. Yeah. I think with this.
Yeah, and he probably would have still been like aggressive like this, like not giving a shit, but he would have made it worse, I think.
Possibly, yeah. There's a chance of that. Yeah. Great. So 2 more.
Yeah. So Square, the #1 payment app, is that it? Is it?
Point of sale system. Probably.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have confirmed that supporting the Lightning Network, which is a sidechain on the blockchain of Bitcoin, that's extremely fast transactions, which is more a consumer transaction application of the Bitcoin blockchain, but it is built off of Bitcoin. They've confirmed that Square will be integrating support for the Lightning Network at some point. They said they're... I'll read Pomp's tweet.
But he said he said he would. Yeah.
The excuse me. Pomp's tweet is, according to Jack, the Lightning Network will be incorporated into Square Cash, top 5 mobile app, in the future. Says it's not an if, but a when. That's a pretty big deal. Because bringing the ability to use cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoin, big Bitcoin guy.
Millions, hundreds of millions of people.
Yeah. I don't think, let's quick and check the Bitcoin price. I don't think it's necessarily reflected it. Nope. But kind of in general, over the last year, when really good things happen, it doesn't reflect in the price.
Well, yeah, it just kind of has to react to usage, I think, and when the network's actually implemented.
Right. So keep your eye out for that.
Increase.
Also, speaking of Pomp, he
I don't think
today,
I know who Pomp is.
this morning, Pomp is Anthony Pompliano. He's a founder and partner at Morgan Creek Digital, which is Morgan Creek is a huge fund of hedge funds, right? Fund of hedge funds. And then Morgan Creek Digital is their digital asset arm, so focusing on crypto stuff and blockchain. So they just raised a $40 million VC fund for blockchain investments. In its first one, it has 2 public pensions invested into it, as well as
2 endowments. I think there's not many endowments in the blockchain space right now, and I think a hospital.
Right. Yeah, I saw that
as well.
It's a good job, Pomp. Congrats.
Yeah, congrats. That's super cool, super significant.
Huge in the space, right? Because especially with market right now showing that there is institutional confidence in the system and the infrastructure built, that's huge.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. Well, and also his big thing is with that money, they're not investing in any coins or anything like that. Kind of a separate index. This is all for like actual startups.
Like company. Yeah. Right.
So that's
because they have their index that's separate. Their digital, their
pretty cool as well.
Index.
And I think their kind of goal is just getting
people involved,
getting funds and money managers off of zero. I think is their big thing.
That's
get off zero. Just get some exposure to the blockchain.
It's a good job, Pomp. And then the last thing, so this is pretty interesting. So I'll let you explain what it is because you know better.
There's a daily newsletter.
That's convenient.
What?
Right, because it's Pops. Oh
yeah. There's a daily newsletter called The Term Sheet, by Fortune, by Polina. I forget her last name. And it comes out every day. It's pretty cool. And they did a survey last week of I think a couple hundred top venture capitalists and private equity people. Very very experienced finance professionals.
Whoa. What happened there? That was weird.
Yeah. But so the results were pretty interesting to Maddie and I, so we wanted to talk about them a little briefly. So again, it's a survey of a lot of top finance professionals and asking about... Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. That's a lot. And asking about kind of the economy and politics. You want to point out
so...
a couple stats.
So I'll start at the top. So last year, 8% of the respondents expressed little to no confidence in the U.S. national economy. And this year, that 8% went up to 41% expressed little to no confidence in the U.S. national economy.
It's insane.
Then similarly as surprising, last year, 4% expressed little to no confidence in the international economy, where this year, 53%, 4% to 53% expressed little to no confidence in the international economy.
That's pretty bad for 1
worrisome.
Year.
That's worrisome. 4% to 53%.
2018 and 2019.
Oh, God.
Something changed.
Yeah. 93% of respondents have confidence in themselves, while 81% have little to no confidence in Donald Trump.
Well, good they're self-confident, but...
88% believe sexual misconduct, harassment, and gender bias are a problem in the VC and private equity industry. That's way too high. Way too high.
Yeah. Well, it's a very male-dominated industry.
Right.
Everybody's known it for a long time. And
right. And it kind of has the undertone of like, aggressive investing and staking your claim.
Yeah.
75% expect to earn more this year than they did in 2018, which is good.
That was strange to me that very little confidence in the economy, but you expect to earn more.
I guess you can take from that they dissociate their own income.
Yeah, but it just seems a little strange. Like if you think you're going into a recession or something like that, I wouldn't really expect myself to make more. So I'm just
right.
I'm not sure where that thought is coming from, but
and then finally, 72% of respondents said that the corporate income tax rate cuts did not influence business and investment judgment decisions they made. So only 28% said any change in corporate income tax rates affected how they made decisions in 2018. That's not actually too interesting of a statistic, but
I think it just, because there's been a lot of talk about how that stimulates the economy, and
right.
I guess they just don't really think so.
I guess that's the takeaway there.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for episode 2 of the Moving Average podcast. Thanks for listening. Let us know what you think about the kind of little bit more casual and conversation-based structure, a little bit less like for startups and crypto than business, but more just interesting stuff. Let us know what you think. Any thoughts, feedback, that kind of stuff. Yeah.